Hello and welcome to the United Stand. You're very welcome this Sunday night live. Pogba versus Mourinho. The distinct and abhorrent lack of chances United are creating. The rebirth of Lukaku. Positives and negatives. But I tell you what, I've got Sophie and Flex with me tonight, and obviously I've got all you lot as well. Really want to get those opinions going because, to be honest, I've been doing a lot of research today and I'm very angry. I'm very angry about Manchester United, and we'll get into why in the show today. But people keep saying, why did you back Mourinho? Why did you back Mourinho? So I spent a lot of today looking at the facts, looking at the research around Manchester United this season. And you know what? I can see where a lot of people are coming from. But I'm still Mourinho in, but I am still frustrated about a lot. But I want to start off Paul Pogba versus Mourinho. Again, Mourinho called bullshit. And I will swear because Mourinho said bullshit. So I'll say bullshit. He said bullshit on Friday. That's 4 already in the first minute. But he did say bullshit. That this Pogba and Mourinho thing is not true. However, today, this morning, we get again that there was a dressing room bust-up after the Newcastle game last week where Pogba and Phil Jones aren't happy because they were the two players that were targeted. We were just going live there, Flex, and you said, you know, he's not going anywhere, but you do feel that there is something there. I mean, even Sunday Supplement today was saying there's clearly something there. Whether it will turn into a big thing or not, there definitely is something going on between Pogba and Mourinho.
Something's definitely going on there. I think it is a positional thing. I think Pogba's not comfortable where he's been deployed. But some of it Pogba's got to take on the chin as well, if I'm honest with you. Like, he can't just dictate all the time where he wants to play. He's got to pull his finger out wherever he's been asked to play, because I do think even where he has been asked to play, he can still play a lot better than he has been playing. Yes, we're not playing to suit his exact strengths, but if you're going to call yourself one of the best midfielders in the world, you've got to be able to adapt slightly, you know. And I get both sides, but there's definitely some rumblings. I think Pogba's struggling mentally, if I'm honest with you. I think he's struggling with the pressure. I think he's struggling with being called out. He looks like he's trying too hard sometimes, and other times he looks like he's not trying at all. There's no in between. So I don't know. I just think there is something going on. But in terms of him leaving and wanting to go to Real Madrid, and he's not happy at Man United and all of that nonsense, that's just the press. Like Mourinho said, that's just bullshit. That's just the Man United hate police, always on time, always ready to try and get us as soon as there's a rumbling of anything. But there definitely is a bit of angst between Mourinho and Pogba. But it's football stuff. That's what happens between a manager and a player sometimes. Sometimes they have disagreements, and if you're a big character like Pogba, you're going to express yourself. And if you're even a bigger character in Mourinho, you're also going to stamp your foot down sometimes and say enough's enough. And I think that's what we've seen.
Michael Percy says, let's not stir the pot. I'm sick of this crap. I totally disagree with you, Michael. Look, we're not Manchester United Football Club. We're not the Sun, thank God. We are Manchester United fans, and we all have different opinions, and that's what the United Stand was set up for 3 years ago. We don't just think, oh, let's not talk about that because it might be a bit controversial. We go, no, let's talk about that because that's what fans are talking about, and that's what the United Stand's about. Kevin Ashford says, Kevin, back on again. Pogba, you need to come back on the show, Kev. Pogba plays better in a midfield 3. He needs to up his game. That's what I was going to say to you, Sophie. I read something today about Roy Keane, Patrick Vieira, top Premier League midfielders. They would sacrifice their game for the better good of Manchester United. And I think that's what people are saying. Look, Pogba plays better in a midfield 3. Yeah, but he's also a £90 million player. Of course, we want to play him in a midfield 3, but I think we saw yesterday, I don't think we've got a midfield 3 to put Pogba in. I mean, we've tried Lingard. I mean, apparently that was a 3 last week against Newcastle. Lingard in a midfield 3. I don't think McTominay's ready. Matic is looking really poor. Carrick's past it. Herrera's got no form. Beyond Pogba, we can barely get 3 midfielders out. So I think Pogba, in fairness, like Flex was saying there, he's just got to look at the team and go, yeah, maybe midfield 3 is ideal for me, but you can't expect the manager to just play 3 midfielders just to accommodate him and have 2 poor midfielders with him when we've got loads of good attackers. I think that's why he's been playing a midfield too.
Yeah, I agree with Flex. I think part of this, Pogba isn't being used in the right role, which has been affecting his performances. But he's got to look at himself as well. At the end of the day, this is a £90 million player, a player that we say is world class. And for me, he's looked lazy at times, he's looked lethargic. No matter where you're playing on that pitch, for me, you should be putting 110% in for the United shirt. And Pogba hasn't been doing that. And you spoke about McTominay yesterday. I actually thought he had a decent game yesterday. I'm not saying he's world class or the next best thing, but I thought he did a decent job yesterday in the midfield. But yeah, Pogba, no, he's not got the best players around him at the minute, and that will impact him. But for me, it's more about his body language and his personal performance. He hasn't been playing that well, and he's looked pretty lazy at times, which is the worrying thing.
Yeah, and just on that, McTominay, I want to talk about him a little bit later. Nothing to do with him. I just think Operation Obsessive Mourinho's kicking in again instead of his comments about McTominay, which I think are totally unfair. Having said that, if we're going to play midfield three, I would like to see Pogba, Matic and McTominay, because I'd rather see McTominay playing because he's a midfielder than Lingard or Fellaini or an out-of-form Herrera. So, you know, maybe that's the one. Maybe we should try that. But is he ready to play in a game like that? The question I do want to ask, though, before we move on to loads of topics that we've got tonight, and McTominay will feature a little bit and Lukaku a little bit later, is that if let's play devil's advocate here and everyone else can play the game as well. Let's just say that there is something there and it escalates between Pogba and Mourinho. As Manchester United fans, as most of us will be, which way would you, if it gets to a point where they cannot solve their issue and one's got to go, who goes? I know I can see Flex crying there almost at me asking this, but if there's no solution, it's Pogba or Mourinho. I know it's a git of a question. I've not even thought it through myself, but what is more important to Manchester United? Is it Paul Pogba or is it Jose Mourinho?
You go first, Soph.
It's a hard. I'm using these seconds to think. Maybe the live comments will help us.
People don't believe Mourinho is here for the long run, so I'm going to say Pogba is more important because I think he could be here for the long run. People saying he's a future captain. I'd like to think that he's going to be here for the long run, so I'm going to say Pogba is more important purely for the fact that Mourinho might not even be in next season. So yeah, I'm going to say Pogba for me is more important, and we should be building a team around him because there's no doubt he's got that world-class ability.
Fair play to Sophie for not bottling it, and now Flex can answer, and I'm not going to tell him what the live comments are saying because he can't see him, and I know he can't. So everyone says Mourinho, Flex. No, they don't really.
Nah, do you know what? I'm actually I'm torn on that one because I always do believe, yeah, there is no player bigger than the club. There's no player, like a manager should always be in control. And if a player, even though we just spent 95 million on him, 90 million, whatever you want to call it, it's a nice romance. He's come through our youth academy. Yes, he went and came back. All of that's fantastic. But if you're not performing or you're not willing to perform in the position that you've been asked to, and you think you're bigger than the manager, sometimes that's kind of, nah, mate, you got to go. Do you know what I mean? But in this situation where Mourinho is probably not playing the brand of football that we want to see, and you know, there's probably a lot more life after Mourinho, then I would probably say Pogba. But I'm not a big fan of players dictating what's going on. You know, that whole we've never been a club like that. We've had some huge personalities down the line who have just, Sir Alex, mate, see you later. When Roy Keane acted up, see you later. Van Nistelrooy, see you later. Beckham, see you later. So Pogba should be no different in terms of that. This is Man United. But in terms of this situation, yeah, I'd rather Pogba stay.
You can't sit on the fence, Flex. You've got to choose one of these.
I'm saying Pogba. But you have to be careful because no player ever, I don't care, is bigger than the club. I
agree.
I tell you what, I don't even have to cast a vote because it's Pogba too. It doesn't matter what I would have said. But no, in all seriousness, I think there's sides for both, and Sophie and Flex have covered it perfectly, really. But the one thing I would add to that is remember Pogba did walk out on United, so all this loyalty thing, he's walked out on us before. But I think both Flex and Sophie covered it really well, that actually, if this is about, are we getting the best out of Pogba at the moment because the football's not good enough, then for a footballing decision, maybe you would go Mourinho out and keep Pogba and hope that the next manager comes in and sets us free, which will lead on to the next bit. So, but let me just have a look at what the vast majority of the live comments were saying. I mean, Philemon says sack Jose. I don't think we were saying that, but a lot of people saying Pogba, Kwesi Brown Pogba, Donovan Jones Pogba, Castellanos Pogba, Daudu Sarrar Pogba. I'm just trying to see if we can spot a Mourinho one just to.
Nobody wants Mourinho in then, no?
Well, no, you know what? Please do drop a like on the video because that scenario, I don't think any of us believe it's going to happen, but it's an interesting, and that's what you get on the United stand. We'll go for the tough one, and it is, you know, absolute. You've got to go one or the other, and I think most people would go Pogba. And you know, that's nothing against Jose. It's like you're asked to make a choice, and people have done that. So I respect everybody who's done it on the live comments. And
that's just because people are in love with Pogba. That's why, I think, because they like him. He's fun. He dances. He dabs. He got a haircut. He's a commercial. I think that's why people are saying that.
Well, I've spent some time today, and it might be some low ballers here, but I know that you're both more than up for answering these sort of questions. But I have spent a couple of hours today really sort of researching, like I said, and it did make me more and more angry. It didn't make me turn against Mourinho, but I did start to see a lot of what people have issues with Mourinho and why they are, because they don't really understand it. So I had a look at it today, and this first stat I'm going to throw, and I'm not a big fan of stats, but you can't hide from this. Chances created by the top 6 clubs this season. Manchester United are in 6th, so straight away you know where this is going. Man City have created 360. Spurs have created 356. Liverpool 350. Chelsea 346. Arsenal 328. Manchester United 276. You know, almost like 25% less than most of the top 5 chances created. And I think that is it, isn't it? You know, when we talk about what some people, I think some of the friction at the moment is that United fans are going, well, we won, why people are complaining? And I think it's so simple. People aren't happy because they're not. I mean, I'll go to you, Flex, first, simply because you're at the games, you're speaking to the fans, and I think the main thing is they're just not happy with the style of football. Chances create entertainment. If we're 25% less than the top 5 for creating chances. If we were level with them, then I think we would be more entertained. It is quite a simple maths, really.
That's it, exactly. I mean, there's some fans who just, as long as we win, they're happy. It depends how deeply you follow football and your take on football and how deeply you analyse stuff. You know, I'm not going to say someone's more of a fan than somebody else because that's all they look for. But for me, I like to dissect the games. I like to look at the quality of performance and like to look at like behind a victory. You know, yes, the main thing is to win. But right now, the brand of football we're playing, the stats are there. We don't create as much. We didn't even probably need those stats to tell us. You look at those teams in Europe, when Liverpool were playing, when Tottenham were playing, when City were playing. And already I remember you saying like the pressure's on Mourinho just from those batch of results, because the way that they attack teams, the way that they have sustained attacking pressure, we don't do that often enough. We'll play well in patches, and sometimes, like against Huddersfield yesterday, we'll not even play well and win, which is an art in itself. I get that. You can win titles off that. But on a consistent period across the season, we don't have like our identity. We don't play attacking football consistently. We do it in patches. And yeah, we're second. I think, what is it? We're 4 or 5 points better off than last season. So we have made slight improvements, but it will never go away. I'm telling you, I speak to fans every week, and especially the hardcore away fans who've been supporting United for years and years and years. They will not go away from the fact that they don't like the brand of football that we're playing. Of course they support the club. Of course they're happy when we win. But you've got to look deeper into things. If we would have played against a better side yesterday, we would have lost. But if we play like that against Sevilla, we will lose. Do you know what I mean? And I know people say, "Oh, you're so negative, Flex," and it's being a realist. You can't think you're the best team because you won a game here or there. You have to look at how you're winning, how you're dominating the game, how you're impacting upon the game, and we don't do it enough. We don't do it enough. The brand of football isn't there, and it's for Jose to work out. But the time is running out with some fans. They are very impatient because even when we win, they're still saying we were crap.
I was talking about this last night, actually, Sophie, that, a lot of people who aren't United fans don't really understand it because we're second place, we are winning games, and they're like, you're really ungrateful. But I don't call it being negative, I call it being positive, because I think if you're a United fan and you're not happy with second place because of the football we're playing, it shows you the sort of where United should be. We're not happy with second place. Why should we be happy with second place when we're not playing good football? But some people see that as negative. I think it's a positive because we don't settle for second place, which I think is a great thing. Where do you sit on it? Because I get a lot of stick because I still believe, although he's not done it for 15 years, Mourinho might just reinvent himself and realise that he's got to play attacking football. But loads of people in the live comments saying he's never going to change. This is the way we're going to play. It's a long goodbye. He'll end up going, and we're just going to have to suffer. The stats around chances created hit you clear as day, like a bus, like a parked bus. We're not anywhere near Liverpool, Spurs, even Arsenal for chances created. which with the attacking talent we've got is rather disappointing. What are your thoughts on that when you see that stat? Because I'm sure you probably haven't, because it's the first time I'd seen it today. And do you think that Mourinho will take it on board and change the way we're playing and win the fans over, or do you think it will be the long goodbye of this grind out football until he goes?
Thinking about it, I mean, you know, I'm like you. I want Jose in. I really do, because I can't really see who's going to replace him. Can I see him changing his style of football to suit the Manchester United way, as we keep saying? No. I think under Mourinho, this is the United way. And like Flex was saying earlier, if you're only dipping in and out of United and you're not watching week in, week out, yeah, sometimes it's good to see you're not playing at your best, but you're still getting results, and that is good to see. And obviously, it is an art in itself. However, if it's the same kind of performance every single week and we're not improving, then that's when it becomes a worry. And for me, under Mourinho at the moment, yeah, we have slightly improved, but the brand of football hasn't. I mean, I read yesterday that Mourinho is setting up a counter-attack in style of football. That's what he wants now with Sanchez in the team. And obviously we scored from 2 counter-attacks yesterday. Maybe he is, but I can't see Mourinho changing to what we know as the United way. I think under Mourinho, this is the United way. And I think it's more of how long will people put up with it for, or how long will he stay around for. I think that is the question. But I can't see him changing, no, not to suit the fans.
I think we're in for an interesting few months. I think May's going to tell us a lot. Peter Mountford says, I think the Champions League will show us how far United are from the top elite teams. Obviously, you're off to Sevilla on Tuesday, Flex, to do fan cams and vlogs and everything. Can't wait for that content. But massive week. We did beat Huddersfield, no matter what we say about the results. The performance, sorry. Sevilla on Wednesday, Chelsea on Sunday. Massive games. We know both those teams are better than Huddersfield. What are your feelings about that? Because I think United have, just because we played rubbish against Huddersfield, I don't think it will be the same against Sevilla and Chelsea. United seem to be a bit like a chameleon. They can change their colours to their opponents. Like if we played Real Madrid, they probably should beat us 9-0, but I guarantee we'd probably be quite close because we seem to be able to adapt to the opposition. So I'm quite confident.
Yeah, Mourinho as well in the Champions League. To be fair, Mourinho is probably the man we do want, that kind of style of football for a tough away trip in Europe. That kind of conservative football, keeping tight and hit them on the break, because it's hard when you go away in Europe, you know. I know you can look at Liverpool just steamrolling Porto and the likes of Man City with Basel, but Sevilla are a different outfit. They are a good side. They can play. And we don't pay them respect where their respect's due. We'll get undone. And we're looking to bring a positive result back to Old Trafford. It's completely different when you're playing a two-legged tie. You have to bear the other tie in mind. You can't just go all guns blazing. So, to be fair, I think that will work in our favour. Mourinho is a good cup manager, especially in the Champions League. Knows how to set his team up to be solid and to nick something out of the game. So we've got a knack for raising it. I said against City at the time, I know we lost, but at the time I felt like we'd be able to raise it and get the performance, but we didn't that day. So I'm a little bit sceptical, but I just think the war words with Conte. I think
fans will be up for it, won't they?
Yeah, the fans will be right up for it. Jose will be beaming up and down the touchline. He will drill it into the players. But I do want to say it's not going to be as easy as everyone thinks, because Chelsea, they kind of do this whole up and down thing, don't they? I mean, 1 minute it looks like Conte's definitely out of job. He's like a game away from getting sacked. Then they go on a little run. Hazard starts playing well. Willian starts playing well. Then they lose one. Do you know what I mean? So they got Giroud now as well. He's going to be a handful because Morata's awful. So it's not going to be an easy game. It's not going to be an easy game. But if we come out with 2 positive results from Sevilla and Chelsea, gives us a real good platform to finish the season well, in my opinion. Especially if we win both, then the mood around the camp's going to be really good. And that's what the Huddersfield win was about. In some sense, it was just about winning, because of the loss to Newcastle, because of the loss to Tottenham, we were in a bit of bad form and we had to win that. It was very important that we get the confidence going, which we managed to do. Albeit the performance wasn't there, I just think it gave a bit of feel-good factor. Lukaku looked confident. Alexis Sanchez stepped up in the second half, so we'll be all right. I think we'll be all right.
Jay Coulter says, I mean, I'm very excited about the week ahead. Jay Coulter says, I just want to enjoy watching football again. I think that is nail on the head in a sentence what the issue is with United. Andrew K says Sevilla and Chelsea, massive week ahead. And I mean, what I wanted to ask you about, Sophie, and everyone in the comments, is that Romelu Lukaku, and this is a positive. This is a positive. There are positives. Romelu Lukaku's had a lot of stick this season, and I thought you take Lukaku out of that game yesterday, we don't score. Both those goals, yeah, he finished them off, but if you watch those goals back, he starts them off. Especially the second goal. I think he's so deprived of service, he's turned himself into a box-to-box forward. I've never known that position before, but the second goal, he starts off in his own box, wins it, sprints forward, passes it to Sanchez, keeps sprinting. People are saying, what a defensive splitting pass by Sanchez. It's the angle of the camera. It's a straight pass. Lukaku's made such a good run. It's a straight pass. Lukaku does all the work on there, box to box. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And a real blueprint for a player that Mourinho loves. He really just showed what the strength of Lukaku is. We've just spoken about how many chances we've created. Lukaku gets a lot of stick, but I guarantee compared to Harry Kane, Aguero, the chances he's had compared to them, I bet he's had like 30-40% less, because we don't create chances. What we saw yesterday is quick ball, Lukaku is unstoppable. We just take too long to get to the box.
Yeah, if you look at Lukaku at Everton, a lot of his goals were like that. Pace, power, running at defenders, and yeah, getting through on goal. And yesterday I thought he played fantastic. I've said it over the last few weeks. I think he's been playing well. He's improved. His hold-up play's improved. I don't think Lukaku is a world-class striker. I don't. I think Harry Kane is classes ahead of him. I really do. But I think, you know what, it's unfair judgment. He hasn't had much service at all. At the start of the season, he was getting a lot better service, and look at him, he was scoring for fun. And of late, he hasn't been getting that service. We haven't created chances, as you have said. And obviously, your striker is going to suffer that. He has had to improve his game as well. I'm not saying he's been playing outstanding. He hasn't. But I do think the judgment and people slating him is a bit harsh, because he hasn't been getting that service. And that's why I'm excited about Sanchez, because I think he will assist a lot more goals for Lukaku. And he can make more of those kind of darting runs. With Sanchez coming in off the wing, he can feed those kind of balls through. So exciting times ahead, really, for Lukaku and for United.
Yeah, just picking up on that point, I mean, you mentioned Everton there, and you're spot on. I mean, Everton are a team that teams will attack, so they get more opportunity to break fast. I think with Lukaku, you mentioned Harry Kane there, and I think Harry Kane can play up front and have 3 or 4 defenders around him and do something. But Lukaku, I think he's a very fast player, but he's a very slow player over 5 yards. But when he stretches his legs, like yesterday on both goals, no one's catching him. He's so fast. But he's not really a striker that when he's playing on the edge of the box with 2 banks of 4 around him, that's not really his game, is he? That's why people say he's like a footballer in a pair of Timberlands, because his first touch does get exposed. But I think when he's got space, he suddenly looks really. That's what I thought we bought Lukaku for. Quick, fast counter-attack. We saw it yesterday, but we've not seen it enough.
Yeah.
You know what? Can I say on Lukaku? It is so simple. He's doing nothing different to what he's done for the past 5 years. Now, that could be a criticism in terms of you might say he hasn't got any better. But in terms of the guy's playing to his strengths, he's got consistently round about 20 goals since he's been at West Brom on loan. He's doing the same thing. He's not good technically. Lukaku is not a good footballer. He's a good striker. He's a good finisher. That's what it is. Similar to Michael Owen. Rubbish on the ball. Pants. But give him a chance. Slip him in. He'll score. Like you said, with his back to goal, he's not good at intricate play. He's not good at like kind of dribbling at players and starting a move off in terms of like taking the ball at players. But once you give it to him in his stride, once he's got steam ahead of him, that's where he's detrimental. If you give him chances, he will score. He's proved it already. He's already got 20 goals for the whole season. So it just proves the guy to do that in the Premiership from a young age means you are a very good striker. Now, what makes you world class is like what Sophie's saying, like, you can make chances out of nothing. Like you're saying, Mark, he can have 3 or 4 defenders around him. It looks like he's got nowhere to go. Bang, goal. Left foot, right foot, header, volley, anything. Tap in, outside the box. He's not that complete. That's not his game. But if you play to his strengths, he will score. It's as simple as that. That's it. We knew what we got when we were buying him. That's it.
I remember last summer, actually, Sophie, that I said I didn't think we would sign Lukaku. Even when we were linked to him, I was like, I can't see us signing Lukaku because of what you said there about Everton, counter-attack, what we saw yesterday with Huddersfield. He's so good at that. That is Lukaku's game. Fast, running, dribbling, with loads of space in front of him. I think he's one of the best in the Premier League. But not how United have to play against teams where they do get men behind the ball. It is very tight and intricate. That's not Lukaku. It's a bit like Lingard. Lingard's great when he spins and runs at a back four. When he's got 2 backs of 4 in front of him, Lingard can't pass. He's got no intricacy. He wants to run and turn. And I think that's what surprised me about us going for Lukaku, was that it was very obvious to me that he's not the sort of player that you need to break teams down with or back to goal. He's a counter-attacking player, but I suppose we haven't played that way. I mean, what do you feel the future for Lukaku is? Do you think he's another striker, maybe a bit like we were talking about Pogba, that actually with a different manager we might get more out of him? Or do you think he has got that potential in this system? Because he isn't getting the service, in fairness to him. I think we've been saying that for weeks. People have a go at him, but he doesn't get the service.
That's the thing. I think. Oh, go on, Soph.
Sure. With Sanchez in the team now, I think he's a lot. People are saying Mourinho was building a counter-attacking team, and yesterday it did look that way, especially in that second half. It did look like we are a counter-attacking team, and I think if we are playing that way, then that will suit Lukaku. When the game is more open and he's got those spaces to run into, and you've got someone like Sanchez who every time he gets the ball, he's looking forwards, he's looking to play that kind of ball. I think Lukaku will thrive on that. However, if we're going to keep playing the slow, passing sideways kind of football, not really putting any balls into the box as well, then that will hinder him. So I think it depends really. If we are going to be counter-attacking, then I think that will benefit him.
Everybody, please do drop a like on the video. We've got lots of people watching and we're flying through some really good topics tonight. It's a really good show and the time is flying by. So make sure you do drop a like on the video. Let's have a look at what people are saying in the comments. Top 5 strikers in the league, says Harold, Kane, Aguero, Firmino, Aubameyang, Lukaku. Wouldn't disagree with that. In fact, I think I did a video about that quite recently. Bring in Fabinho, says Chris Windle. I see Lukaku's future at Crystal Palace, says Matt Grease. I think that's a bit harsh. And Lukaku has scored more goals than Lacazette and Morata combined. Enough said, says Conrad Buck. Yes, he has. And they were, Chelsea and Arsenal fans were saying Lukaku's a flop, and he scored more than them both. I still think he should have scored more, but he's put those two to bed. Tevin Burrell says Lukaku is a good striker. He is not getting enough chances to score like Harry Kane and Salah. Though I'm not totally accurate on this, but off the top of my head, I looked at it today, and shots to conversion rate, I think Harry Kane's 6, I think Lukaku's 3. So it just shows you how many chances Kane's getting. But that's obvious. I'll guarantee you Harry Kane's had a lot more chances and Aguero's had a lot more chances. And I'm not having a go at Kane and Aguero. They're playing in teams that create a lot of chances, which feeds into the next thing I want to talk about. On the watch along yesterday, somebody was going absolutely mad about United pressing. They were saying Lukaku's trying to press, but Sanchez and Mata are not pressing. You don't press individually because you can't press individually because that player will just pass it to somebody who's unmarked. You watch Liverpool, you watch Man City, you watch Spurs, especially Spurs. Watch Spurs, they're bloody brilliant at it. They press as a team. And it's a bit like, you know, I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's a bit like when you're playing cards, poker. And you're playing with your mates, it's very relaxed, you're having a drink, very relaxed. You can take as long as you like on your hand. If you ever played it where you've got a 10-second time limit, you're like, shh, I've got to do something quick. And when you've got to do something quick, you'll make a mistake. And that's why when you're passing out from the back, if you're being pressed, you make a mistake or you hit a long ball and you lose possession. Why do you think United don't press and everybody else does, Flex?
Mourinho. Simple as that. Mourinho's teams have never been high energy, high pressing. They've always been solid, robust, soak up pressure, defend very well, nick it, counter. It's as simple as that. That is it. That stems from the manager. You look at the managers of the teams you just mentioned, which is Liverpool, Tottenham, and Man City. They're very forward-thinking managers. They're managers who think we'll outscore the opposition no matter what. We know, again, like I said to Lukaku, we knew what we got when we were getting him. We also knew what we got when we got Jose. We knew what we were getting, which is someone who is very rigid in his ways, believes in his own methods, and rightly so. It's won him things wherever he's gone, so he's not going to change. But that's why we're not going to press high up the pitch. You look at how City and Liverpool and Spurs, they press in numbers, and like you said, this is another thing. I see people in the terraces, back to Lukaku, just to bring it back with the pressing thing. Sometimes you'll see him sort of running after the ball and kind of waving the others on to say, come with me. And they're going, Lukaku's useless, put some effort in. I'm just like, you're clueless. What are you talking about? The guy's trying to press by himself. And he's just, like you said, if you're in a triangle of 3 players and you're trying to press by yourself, you're going to get outpassed and you're just going to get knackered, more to the point. So when you do get the ball, you're absolutely knackered anyway. So you've got to press as a unit or not press at all. I think what City do well is They press very well after turning the ball over. So as soon as we lose the ball, we've got like a 10-second period where we'll try and fight back and win it in our attacking third. Once they don't, they kind of sit off and then they work and wait for the opportunity and then they go forward in numbers. With Spurs and Liverpool, it's very much just hustle, hustle, hustle all over the pitch. Fullbacks bombing on, centre mids pushing on, strikers pushing on, and they all go in one wave. We're not going to see that Man United. We're not going to see that under Jose Mourinho because it's not his style. Simple as that.
Sophie, you're not past it like me and Flex anymore when it comes to football. You're still playing. What does your team? I mean, you will know more than us. I mean, we're just watching now. The press. Do you use a press? Do you think it is that important? Do you think it's coincidental that teams like Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, not only in the Premier League but in the Champions League as well so far, this expansive, high energy, high press, quick movement of ball, it seems to be obliterating your Simeones, your Mourinhos who just want to sit back and soak it up. What's your thoughts on that? Is it something you do as a team or you've been a victim of?
Yeah, well, we had a new manager join this season at Calcer, and one of his things were the press. Like he wanted us to press high as a team. But I must admit, in training, that is one of the hardest things to get across. As I'm sure most coaches, if there's any watching, will agree that trying to train a team to press correctly is so hard, because if one person doesn't go, then as you said earlier, someone just passes the ball around you and they're in. So it's got to be a complete team effort. And I think, like Flex says, tactically, Mourinho doesn't do that. Over the years, it's soaked up pressure and then it's been more of a counter-attack thing. And I think, impressively, Liverpool, Spurs, they all do it. They hunt in packs. And it's not, if one goes, the rest go. And they're obviously drilled into doing that. Under Mourinho, they don't do that. I like the press personally. I think if you can hit the ball back higher up the pitch, then it gets you in good stead, obviously, for an attack. Why not win it as high up as you possibly can? I know there's a risk that if it gets in behind you, then obviously then you're vulnerable. But I just think if you win it, the aim of the game is to score it ultimately. So if you win the ball higher up the pitch, you've got more chance of scoring. So I like pressing football, but Mourinho obviously doesn't, and he never really has. He's always soaked up and then gone for the counter attack.
The thing is, as well, with the press, I mean, we're talking about getting the fans on side. If you, as fans, can see your players hungrily going for the ball in the final third and energy, then the fans will react to that, won't they? So, but, you know, I still think he can do it. I think he can change. Some people think I'm stupid, but I'm hoping he can change, because I really will. I will say this now, I'll say it live. If Mourinho doesn't change, he's going the same way as Van Gaal, and that really makes me sad. He will go the same way as Van Gaal. I don't think this style of football, I think it's dead. I don't think it can beat what Man City and what Liverpool and Spurs are doing. I don't think you can beat it anymore. I don't think you can sit back and soak up pressure against teams that are swarming all over you like that. And also, if you are a team that's pressing, Sophie, I'd imagine this is the case, do you think as a pressing team you're fitter than you are a team that doesn't press? Because you have to be.
100%, yeah, because it has to be sharp, and like I said, if you're not going to press fully, then there's no point in it, because a team will just play it round you. So yeah, you have to be fitter. Because
that was something that's been thrown at us this season as well. I think there was some stats about it about a couple of months ago that, you know, not only do United not press and play quick football, I think that they look tired and lethargic a lot more than other teams, and maybe that's to do with the style of football we play doesn't actually require the same fitness levels that everybody else has, which is what, you know, maybe that's the problem. However, the next thing I want to talk about, and it might be a little bit of controversial, because George Kyle's sort of prompted me this. He says we need quicker players in midfield for the press. Our midfield this weekend was taught us slow. Yeah, I was very critical of the midfield, and I've been very critical of the midfield all season because we're not moving the ball from back to front quick enough. But there was a comment from somebody today saying that, well, here, I'll make the statement, then everyone can sort of carry on. Manchester United have got the three biggest midfielders in the Premier League. You've got Matic, McTominay and Fellaini, who are 6'4". Pogba's 6'3". And I said, tall footballers are stereotypically slow and not good on the ball. To which somebody said, well, Barcelona have got Busquets. And I said, well, Busquets is good on the ball. Fellaini isn't. McTominay doesn't look great on the ball. And Matic looks very lethargic as well. Do you see, Flex, a correlation between Manchester... And you look at the signings that Mourinho makes. It doesn't... This is the thing that made me angry today. And you know I'm so pro-Mourinho, but I'd missed this. I'd missed this stat, and it's so bloody obvious. There's an obsession with really tall players, especially in our midfield. So when you've got Liverpool and Spurs and City, like we're saying, with, you know, they're not, some of them are quite big. I mean, Dembele's 6 foot. I think Eric Dyer's 6'2". There's a big difference between a 6'2" player and a 6'4". People say a couple of inches, but you know, 6'4", you're wandering into giant territory, and you know it's a long way down to the ground. But a lot of our tall players aren't particularly good on the ball either. So how can you press fast and effectively with the ball when most of your midfielders are just giants? And is that not a massive indication, pardon the pun, massive, that we are a team that he wants to play high ball with?
That's it. That's what I mean. It comes down to Mourinho, his methods, his philosophy, his pragmatism. Mourinho likes big, strong units who run through walls for him. That's it. That's his player. At Chelsea, you look at the spine that he had. You know, big John Terry. You know, big, strong, commanding. Drogba, big, strong, commanding. Cavalier, big, strong, commanding. Like, that's the kind of player that he likes. He likes those kind of players, and it suits the style of football that he wants to play. If we want to play expansive, if we want to play a midfield that's going to press, we need people with legs. Pogba probably breaks that mould in terms of like a one-off player who's quite big in stature, but he's exceptionally good on the ball, exceptionally good feet, exceptionally agile, very quick. He probably breaks that mould. But other than that, Matic, not very dynamic, not agile, can't change direction quickly. He hasn't got good legs on him. Carrick coming to the end of his career. McTominay looks a similar player. Tall, not overly quick, can't cover a lot of ground. Herrera was that guy who had a bit of legs in him, but has lost his form and don't know where his Man United career is going to go. So you do look at it, and we don't have those kind of players. And you look at trying to play against another midfield that is very mobile. You look at Liverpool's, you know, Chan, good legs on him, engine up and down. Even Henderson, who's not the greatest, still got legs. Even if Milner plays in there, at his age, he's got legs. Oxlade, legs. Wijnaldum, they're all they can move. You know,
Dembele at Spurs, Wanyama, Fernandinho. You know, everyone's got these fast players, haven't they?
The list goes on, and that's what I mean. It shows that we come undone when we play against those teams. We have done against City. We came undone. We came undone against Spurs. And that's what happens when you've got players who are putting it on you, and you haven't got mobile players who can take the game by the scruff of the neck, or get out and close players down, or travel with the ball. You get exposed. You get exposed in big games. It works against a Huddersfield. It works against a Brighton and Newcastle, even though we lost to Newcastle. But do you know what I mean? Against the lesser sides, it works. Against the cream of the crop, mobile teams who are very good and quick in transition, you're finished. You're finished. It doesn't work. And we need more mobile players. Hopefully, he says he's come out and said we need a midfielder. But he's saying we only need a midfielder because Carrick's retiring. I think we need a couple of midfielders because we're just too slow in that department, let alone Carrick retiring. We don't just need a midfielder because we need to replace Carrick because he's out. We need midfielders because we're lacking real quality in those positions. In the elite games, it's not good enough.
Well, we're looking at Milankovic-Savic, who I can tell you, guess how tall he is? 6'4".
6'4".
Yeah, so, you know, there's this obsession with having the tallest midfielders. And as Paul Robinson says, Sophie, tall players, but we can't cross the ball. What's the thinking behind that? I mean, I watched the Huddersfield game yesterday. Terrible in the final third, but they did get around our midfield really, really effectively. And I know we're going over old ground here, but it was the one thing that really stood out to me today. This obsession with, you know, giant midfielders who aren't very good on the ball and aren't very quick. I mean, I can't defend that. I don't see, it goes against how I think United should play. And also, it's been evidenced this season that when you come up against teams like Spurs, I mean, Dembele ran riot because, as Flex was saying, he's mobile, he's physical, and he's good on the ball. But I suppose we have to, you know, we're not Manchester United manager, are we? We're just going to have to hope it works because I don't think anybody really agrees with it. Why have we got slow, tall midfielders? But, you know, maybe there's some sort of master plan. We are second in the league.
I can understand if, for example, you're a goal ahead and you're under the cosh a bit, you need a bit of height to defend set pieces. I understand that, bring people on to try and defend. But at times yesterday at the back, we were defending set pieces. We couldn't clear the ball. Like, we looked so shaky. And it's not even like the strength in us in that department, I don't think. Because I don't know. I'm the same as you. I think we need more pace in the middles. I mean, if you look at Kante and how incredible he was, he's only tiny, but I'd love him in the middle because he's just like a little terrier in there. I think he would be an absolute nightmare to play against. McTominay, like I say, I thought he did okay yesterday, but still, he's not United quality. Matic has looked really slow as well. So yeah, I can understand if they're strengthened us at the back from set pieces. Maybe that's why he's going with a bit of hope. But we don't even look that strong at the back. We look really shaky. So I can't see Mourinho's thinking behind it. I'm hoping there's some kind of master plan, but I just can't see it yet.
It's interesting, actually, you mentioned McTominay there, because I wanted to bring this in. I mean, everyone seems to think I don't like Scott McTominay, which is really unfair. He's from the youth setup. He's been at the club since he was 9 years of age. I want him to be successful. He's exactly what we should have at Manchester United. All I'm doing is being honest to what I'm seeing. He's played the first few... I said before the game yesterday, I think we're going to see something from him. Mourinho says he's great. Carrick says he's great. Sir Alex Ferguson says he's great. I haven't seen anything that makes me think he's good. And I didn't see anything yesterday. Just all I see is okay performances. I've never said he's been rubbish. I just don't see anything better than okay. And that was Huddersfield. And they were skipping past him. They were passing round him because he's tall and he's not good on the ball. He's not particularly quick. That's not his fault. But then... I was speaking to Villa fans today, because that's where I'm based around there, and I've been saying to them for weeks, you've got to play Twansibi. They lost 2-0 yesterday, he played, and they can't shut up about him. He was absolutely immense. More tackles, quick around the ground, absolutely superb. No surprise to any Manchester United fan. And that is a player that we've been talking about all season. Why has Mourinho not used him? He's clearly ready, and when he plays, you see something. Like last season... when he played against Alexis Sanchez, funnily enough, and put him in his pocket flex. And I think that's... I think people are too literal in life. They're like, oh, you don't say anything positive about McTominay. But he hasn't really shown me anything massively. Because I'm judging him on can he be the next youth player to come through? And I just think he looks okay. Whereas with Twansibi and Fosu Mensah, I see something that really stands out about them that, like, yeah, they can do it. And then today you've got Mourinho, who never shuts up about him. And like today he was like, I'm going to phone up Alex McLeish and say he should play for Scotland. And it's England's loss. It's England's loss that McTominay's not playing for them. He should be playing for Scotland. And I'm like, what is it he's doing in training? Because I can't see it, Jose. Why don't you ring Brazil up as well and get him in the World Cup squad?
Do you know what it is, yeah? First and foremost, you want to back our own youngsters. It's good to see him in and around the squad. We get that. But when he's on the pitch, that's his job to start showing us, A, what we're lacking, so he's bringing something to the team, and B, why he warrants a place being in the first team squad, let alone in the starting 11. And I'm with you, like, I back him, of course. I want our young players to do well. But so far, he's had steady performances, but he hasn't done anything amazing. He's had steady performances that have been classed as a bit better because of how young he is, and he's not a regular. If somebody else, a seasoned pro, was performing what he was performing, they would be out because it's kind of like, well, you're not really doing anything. You have a couple of good passes, maybe win possession back a couple of times, then you lose it a couple of times, then you get overrun a couple of times. So I don't want to criticise him. It's not criticism. It's kind of like what you said. It's like, what is it your speciality is? Are you going to be a Darren Fletcher? Is that what you are? Because if that's what you are, all right, cool. We've got that already. Like that's not what we need. Do you know what I mean? And I think the grievance is you look at players like Angel Gomez, Chung, you look at Tuanzebe, Fosu Mensah. You've seen glimpses, especially with Tuanzebe and Fosu Mensah, that they look really strong. I mean, Fosu Mensah was coming through even when Van Gaal was there, and he looked good. And you just think, you don't want these players to go backwards. You want them to develop. And it means that Mourinho actually rates McTominay better than Fosu Mensah. He rates him more highly, clearly, because of the positions that they're in. And I don't get that. He must be training really well. And I saw Mourinho's comment saying McTominay's really well. He doesn't have a flash haircut, fancy watch, fancy car, just quiet kid. You know what it is? Mourinho likes that kind of character. He likes that yes man. He likes that like player he can mould and that will run through walls for him. That's the kind of player he likes. Solid, simplicity is key. That's why he loves Matic. And yes, in certain games, simplicity is key. I get it. You got to try and keep things simple, but not all the time. Sometimes you need to take a risk with a pass to make something happen. You know, Alexis Sanchez gives the ball away probably the most in the Premier League. Why? Because he always tries a pass that could be detrimental to the opposition. You know, he's trying to make things happen. Same with De Bruyne. Those players that try risky passes are going to lose the ball more often, but they're trying. They don't play safe, and I just think McTominay needs to show us what his niche market is, what he's really good at.
I think with McTominay, you said he's had steady performances. I think that's what he is. He's a steady player. He just keeps the ball moving, keeps it simple. And I think it's harsh as well that he's in there with Matic and Carrick, who are two very similar players. And at the moment, he is a kid, so realistically, he looks on par. He's playing a similar game to them. No one's really breaking lines in that midfield. So again, he's not really going to stand out, is he? He is that kind of player. He should have been probably playing that holding midfield position with two other midfielders ahead of him. That's where you'd see what he can bring to the game. But he's playing with two players who are doing a very similar job in that midfield. And I think that's what he does. He keeps it steady, keeps it simple. He's not the kind to really take risks, but I think he's a decent player. Maybe a decent squad player in future. I wouldn't say he's outstanding, but I mean, I play holding midfield myself, and I think that's what he does. He's there to break up the play and get the ball rolling for another counter-attack. But when he's playing in there with Matic and Carrick, obviously he can't get that ball rolling for another counter-attack, because who's going to lead that counter-attack realistically in that midfield? So I think if you're judging him in that midfield three, it's quite harsh really to judge the kid on that. We need to see him really in a better midfield, maybe with Pogba on the pitch and someone else.
And also, Carrick, a player I've got a lot of time for, said this week that McTominay will replace him. So, you know, I think there is something going on in training. I really do like what Flex was saying there about Mourinho, saying, you know, he doesn't have the tattoos or the funny hairstyle and everything like that. I can see what Mourinho's coming at there. That's exactly the sort of player you want in your squad, level-headed, serious player. I'm just hoping at some point it's not what we've seen so far, which is just a steady, average, simple player, because that's not what we need. I'm hoping there's something that he's just going to burst on at some point. We're going to see a performance and go, oh yeah, that's why. And hopefully we will, because everything's there. Been through the youth setup, been there since a kid. Local lad, you know, I want him to be successful. I just have concerns at the moment that I haven't seen it. But I have seen it with Fosu Mensah and Twansibi, who aren't even at the club because they've been loaned out. I think they are better. That's all I'm really saying. Fosu Mensah and Twansibi are streets ahead of McTominay, but McTominay's getting the first team football. Hopefully he's going to go up a level. Sophie, I want to ask you this question. This from one controversial topic to another. I thought Alexis Sanchez was awful in the first half yesterday. I think Luke Shaw, there was an infographic after about half an hour, and Huddersfield 57% or something like that were going down the Luke Shaw side, and they were getting a lot of joy because Luke Shaw was getting double teams. And I said at half time, I'm fed up of this. I'm fed up of the fact that we've spent a lot of money on a left winger when we already had a brilliant left winger who was disciplined and had learned to help his left back. We've brought a player in who actually, when you look at it over the season, Anthony Martial's had a better season than Alexis Sanchez, because Alexis Sanchez was crap at Arsenal, and I don't think he's set the world on fire here. He's had a couple of assists, but people forget that Martial was winning us games and getting assists already. Interesting Sevilla on Wednesday, because if Martial's on the bench, I think that's the journey complete. I think it's clear that Mourinho's chosen Sanchez. But what I did say yesterday is that if Martial had put that first half performance in that Sanchez did, he wouldn't have seen the second half. So we are seeing that favouritism again. Sanchez was not tracking back yesterday, and if Martial had done that, he would have been in a world of pain. Where do you sit on Sanchez? Because I'm very happy with the signing, but I'm baffled. I'm stunned. I cannot understand when we've got massive issues elsewhere, especially in the midfield. We spent a load of money, a lot of money, on a left winger when we already had a really good one.
For me, I think we need to play with a number 10, and I think Sanchez should be that number 10. And I think Martial should be on the left. I agree with that. For me, Sanchez is most effective when he's cutting inside and he's linking up with the likes of Lukaku. If you look at his through ball, he was central on the pitch when he did that. And every time he gets the ball, he's looking inside. He's looking for that long diagonal ultimately. Every time he's turning inside. So for me, that's where he should be playing. Then you don't have to rely on him tracking back as much then in that number 10 role. So for me, that's where he should be playing. Yeah, he did have a poor first half, but I think he kept him on and he set up the goal in the second half, and he was always a threat in that second half as well. I think we'll always have that world-class ability with Sanchez. And like Flex said earlier, yeah, he does lose the ball a lot of times, but it's mainly because he's trying those risky passes, he's trying to make stuff happen. Yeah, he does get knocked off the ball a few times, or he does get dispossessed, but it's because he's trying to beat a man and he's trying to make something happen. And I don't mind seeing that, I genuinely don't. I think if we're taking risks, then that's what I want to see in a United shirt. You're not going to score goals or create chances unless we do that. And I think we need more of that from other players, to be honest. I think in that first half, especially right at the start, the whole team couldn't keep the ball. I thought we were awful. I think we had, 20% possession, and that was the goal. We were awful as a team keeping that ball in the first half. So I think Sanchez obviously struggled because of that as well. But yeah, ultimately, I'd like to see him in the number 10.
Do you think Martial will play against Sevilla, Flex?
No. Sorry, say that again. Do I think Martial will play against Sevilla?
Yeah.
You never know with Jose. Just really.
All right, then. If he doesn't play, why? And is that Martial? You know, is that finally the nail that many of us suspect that Mourinho's got an issue with Martial?
Yeah, if he doesn't play, it proves that in this current period, he obviously fancies Sanchez more. Clearly, even in the last couple of games where he started Sanchez over him or shafted Martial out to the right. Because I just think with Sanchez being a more versatile player, he should be the one to move anywhere across the final third. So that would be the most natural fit. Like I said, Martial was playing out of his skin and had answered a lot of questions from Jose from a poor last season. He was poor last season and had stepped up to the plate. And I think he's just been disrupted by the arrival of Sanchez in one way or another. But I just wanted to say on yesterday's performance, it depends what Mourinho was telling them, because yes, everything was going down Luke Shaw's side, and I was noticing it. I was like, something's not right here. Sanchez is bombing on and leaving Luke Shaw exposed. But then I saw Sanchez sort of saying to Luke Shaw, pass that player on to Lindelof, because Lindelof was free, and you go and do the right back. Sorry, their right back that was coming up. Now it depends whether Mourinho was telling Sanchez to go and press further up and let Lindelof do that, or whether Sanchez was neglecting that duty. Because in the second half, if you're playing with the midfield three, which we were, it was actually Matic on the left of that side that can go out and shut that right fullback down, which is what we saw happen in the second half. Now, maybe that was supposed to be happening from the first half, but Matic wasn't doing it, and he doesn't have the legs to do it. You know, that would have been Pogba, which we could have easily have done. So initially, I was on Sanchez's back saying he was leaving Luke Shaw exposed, which he was in parts, but sometimes he did try and sort it out and say to Luke Shaw, right, you take the right winger coming on, let Lindelof take the other player and move across, and then we did see it. But yeah, just with the Martial Sanchez thing, I just think Jose has made his mind up within this period. If he doesn't start against Sevilla, because Mata's playing well. I think Mata is actually playing well, and going back to Spain as well, the way Mata plays, it'd probably suit us for him to play on that right hand side. So I can't see Martial starting over Mata, if I'm honest with you, in that game. And that only leaves, I can't see Sanchez playing as a 10. He'll probably go with the 3 again, with Pogba maybe back in. So you're probably looking at Martial probably being on the bench, yeah.
Please do drop a like, everybody. Lots of people watching, and we've got through so much, and there's been so many live comments. Remember, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock is your chance on the Skype show to call in and have your say, because there's so many good points there, and I'd love to get some of these brought up tomorrow. Just in relation to the vast amount of people who are saying, I don't want Sanchez and I'm already throwing him in the bin, that's not what I said at all. Alexis Sanchez is arguably one of the best players in the world. My frustration is, and I would say this to any club or any business really, is that when you are when you've got weaknesses in your business, you don't go and spend a load of money improving the thing that works. It's bad. It's a bad business decision. And we had a left winger that for me was our player of the year, and we've just screwed him over. We've basically just screwed him over and brought somebody in who maybe, yeah, they are slightly better, but it's still a bad business decision, because getting a slightly better thing than the best thing you've already got is stupid when we needed a midfielder and we needed a right winger and we needed a number 10. You know, we've still not solved those problems. All we've done is got a slightly better left winger. It doesn't make sense to me personally. It's nothing to do with Sanchez. I was ecstatic with Sanchez. I would have played him at number 10, like Sophie said, or I play him on the right wing, and that improves us. You've already got a left winger who's brilliant. Put him on the right wing and solve that problem. Put him at number 10 and solve that problem. That's what's frustrated and baffled me. It's nothing to do with not liking Sanchez. I think he's a brilliant player, and I think he'll be a really good player for us, and I love his effort levels. The next thing I'm going to ask a difficult one, Sophie. I know it's a bit of an ongoing question. It changes week to week, but where do you see Manchester United under Mourinho sort of May for the rest of the season? Are you confident we're going to get things round, or do you think we're going to continue to limp through and have to keep grinding out?
I'd like to think that yesterday was a turning point, a good result for us. And on the counter-attack, I thought we looked really good on the counter-attack. So I'm hoping that we have turned the corner. However, I don't think that we're going to be playing the attacking flair football that we're all looking for. I still think we're going to have weeks where it's going to be like, how on earth did we get 3 points there? And a matter of grinding it out until we get better personnel in. I still think, though, we're going to get results, and I still can see us finishing second at the end of this season. So I'm still feeling positive. I just don't think the style of play is going to change too much. I can't see Mourinho changing.
And you, Flex, what are your thoughts? I mean, you're off out to Spain this week. You'll be up at the Chelsea game on Sunday. You know, no one's turning away. I mean, people are talking about negativity. It's not. As I said, I disagree. It's not negativity. It's not complaining. It's positive. We're not settling for this. We're not settling for this type of football. We're not settling for second place. We want, demand, and should have better. It's not moaning. It's not complaining. Anyone who's happy with where we are, I'm sorry, you're settling for not what this club's all about. But Flex, what are your thoughts between now and the next few weeks? Are we going to start playing this scintillating football, or do you think it's going to be grinding out and hoping to cling on to what we've got and progress in the cups?
It'll be more of the same. It will be grinding out results, the odd good performance in there, then back to grinding out results. But all in all, we'll find a way, I think, to win the games we need to win to secure second place. I think we will. And to go as far as we can in the Champions League. Interesting draw in the FA Cup as well. Very favourable for us. I know we struggled against Brighton when we played them in the league. But, you know, you've got to obviously be confident on beating Brighton at home, which will make the semi-finals. You look at the games that are forecast, and Tottenham will almost certainly beat Rochdale at Wembley. So the names in the hat to go into the kind of routine games where you think all the top clubs should win. So the semis will be something major. You know, they're going to get a hard team in the semis, but it'll be a day out at Wembley. So yeah, I think we'll find a way to get to the end of the season in a decent shape. But it will be kind of the same football. Football's not going to change. The football's not going to change. We might get one or two good performances in there, but we won't be able to put it out consistently. I still think we need to tweak the side over the course of a summer transfer window to really get to how we want to play.
I just want to say thanks to George, Kyle and Snaps, and I think I've seen Matthew McFadden tonight as the moderators. Very busy night on the live comments and we can't do it without them, so big shout out to those and all the people who get involved in that. Just for a bit of fun then, I'm just going to make my prediction and give Sophie and Flex a little bit of time as well. I'm going to say we'll come... I'm going to be negative. No, I'm going to be realistic. I'm going to say FA Cup final, lose. Not going to say who to. I just think there's good teams in it. I think we'll get to the final though. We're still going to, you know, we'll have to play someone good in the semi-final. Lose in the FA Cup final. Champions League quarterfinals. I think we will get past Sevilla. Premier League fourth. Sophie?
Oh my god.
Premier League second. Champions League, I'm going to say quarterfinals. And we're going to win the FA Cup. I'm going to go confident.
I like yours better than mine.
Yeah, I'll start with winning the FA Cup. I think we'll find a way to do that. I think we'll win the FA Cup. Obviously, it is hard because we're probably going to play City but we're going to play someone hard. There's only hard teams left after we should beat Brighton. Premiership, I think we will find a way to get second. And Champions League, I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say semi-finals. I'm going to go one further. I'm going to say semi-finals. I think we'll obviously have to play someone hard in the quarters if we get past Seville. But yeah, I'm going to say semis.
I'll tell you what though, both of yours, but especially Flex's because it's slightly better saying that we'll get to the semi-finals of the Champions League. Semi-finals of the Champions League, FA Cup win and second in the Premier League. I'll tell you what, you can't moan or complain about that. That would be a very good season from this point because we're not winning the league, so second's the best we can do. Semi-final, when you look at the Champions League this year, is just... I love it. I'm loving watching it. It's just brilliant. There's so many good teams, and then winning the FA Cup, you can only win it. So that would be very good, very good.
It would, but the problem with that is that it might be quite a good accomplishment that Mourinho thinks, oh, that's fine. I'll keep doing that next season.
Andrew Ellis, no surprises. The only surprise with you, Andrew, is he said fifth. I thought you might go as low as sixth. He says fifth and trophyless. So there you go. I wouldn't have expect anything different from Andrew, who I will always give a qualifier and say he never wanted Mourinho from day one, and he's been very consistent. So there we go. But really enjoyed the show tonight. Not just the guests, but the live comments have been smack on again. So thanks everybody, and do drop a like for yourselves and for the guests. Really good. Tomorrow night we will be back, obviously, with the Skype show. Got a show at 1 o'clock tomorrow as well. Red Rumours is back tomorrow, so make sure you watch that. But thanks for coming on, Sophie, again. Regularly now on the Sunday night show. Really, really good. And obviously you've got your own channel, which me and Flex let you down with yesterday, but you still got Xander on there, so you know, beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. If I can just do a shout out as well, if you can all subscribe to Hairdry Treatment, my channel. I think I'm 30 subs off 1k now, so I want to try and push to get that 1,000 subscribers. So if you could all just go and subscribe to Hairdry Treatment, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm sure you'll smash 1,000 now, if I know the United Stand community. And thanks for coming on, Flex. Over to Spain this week, Sevilla.
Yeah,
might be
Spain.
Might be warm.
Big.
Have a few oranges.
Yeah, it's looking 20 plus, so hopefully get to have
it's
some
a bloody holiday. It's a holiday on the United Stand, this is.
I mean, remember, it is groundbreaking for the United Stand, though, in all seriousness. It's the first European game we've covered. We're really excited to be out there, and we want you guys to be part of it, and me and Jordan will do our best to capture exactly what it's like to be out there in the city and the stadium, etc. So do make sure you follow that. The vlogs will be up as well. And follow me on Twitter as usual, Flex United Stand, all one, to keep up to date with what's going on out there, because it's going to be good. It just shows how far the channel's come in such a short space of time, and it's all down to you guys and on the road to 200k. So yeah, keep it up, guys, keep it up.
Yeah, and thanks to all you lot in the live comments. Really have enjoyed the show. Sunday night show was where it all started 3 years ago. We used to do one show a week. And Kev, who I've seen in the live comments, we need to get Kevin back on, because he was one of the original ones with Martin and Alex and Rich. And you know, it's always been my favourite show, the Sunday night, followed by the Skype show tomorrow. I do like the Skype show because it's you lot calling in. But thanks to you all. So do like and get involved. Keep spreading the word. Subscribe. We're getting closer to 200,000 subscribers, which is great. And I just want to shout out Xander as well, because I was taking the mick out of him a bit there. But Xander is on. I've just double checked. He's on That's Football at the moment, doing a watch along for the Real Madrid Real Betis game. So if you fancy a little bit more interaction, click onto That's Football and watch the Real Madrid Real Betis watch along with him. It's a cracker. It's 2-2, so it's not, you know, your normal 7-0. It's 2-2. It's a good game. So get over there and watch him. If you want to stay on and watch something else on YouTube, That's Football. Just type it in, and he's live at the moment. So thanks everybody. Really enjoyed the show tonight. It's not negative. We're being positive. We all know what we want United to be, and we know we can be there. So you know, there's nothing wrong with expressing your opinion, and that's what the United Stand is. It's always about opinion. So great show. I have seen no abuse on there, which is great as well, because people do respect people's opinions. And big week ahead. Build towards Sevilla. Can't wait. And obviously we'll be back next Sunday as well. So thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all soon. Cheers both for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Good show, man.
It flew by again, didn't it?